Elizabeth Warren is still in this fight. Following a series of early state losses, the Massachusetts senator nonetheless maintains solid fundraising numbers and a decent showing in the polls. She's also held her own in recent debates. But what exactly is her path to the Democratic nomination? Joining me now, the co-founder of the Progressive Change Campaign Committee, Adam Green. He's also a surrogate for the Warren campaign. Adam, always good to see you. First off, what are your expectations for South Carolina? The polling doesn't have her doing particularly well there.
Yeah, we'll see where South Carolina lands. But the number one priority for every candidate is to enter Super Tuesday with momentum. And one thing I can tell you for sure is that Elizabeth Warren didn't just hold her own in the last two debates. She absolutely crushed in the last two debates. And America saw the Elizabeth Warren they know and love, the strong fighter who names villains, challenges power, and wins.
How much money was she able to raise?
I think she raised about $9 million after the Las Vegas debate, something like that, which is through the roof in terms of grassroots support. And I think it spoke to her inspiring so many people. And how did she do it? The Daily Beast had a funny headline. It was Elizabeth Warren decides to murder Mike Bloomberg 6 days after killing him, which speaks to, I think something that will be written about in this election, which is when you think about Mike Bloomberg's stalling in the polls and eventual plummeting in the polls, there's only one source of that, and that is Elizabeth Warren, for calling him out as apologizing for Wall Street as they blamed black and brown communities for the Wall Street collapse several years ago, and also going to bat on gender, calling him out for what he's done with women. So I think when it comes to class, economics, race, gender, Elizabeth Warren really inspired people last two debates, and that's how she enters Super Tuesday.
You talk about momentum into Super Tuesday. Where do you expect that momentum to land you? What is exactly your path to the nomination? Yeah.
So again, the early states are a means to the end of getting to Super Tuesday. And it's kind of funny, Mayor Pete, who did quite well in Iowa, is about, 4%, 5% in a lot of these very big states. Places like Texas or California, he might win no delegates. Whereas Elizabeth Warren is consistently, ranging anywhere from 15 to 20 to 25. And what we saw in Nevada, actually, is that when you looked at the early vote numbers, which were before the debate, where she just crushed it and was the objective winner, and then the day of numbers, she rose in some precincts from being at around 10% to being at 25, 30, 35%. And again, that shows how important these debates are as people just start to pay attention in Super Tuesday states and decide how to vote. Adam, so we are very optimistic that she will enter those states with big momentum and rack up a big number of delegates. Do you think she's going to win any particular state, or do you have an expectation for the delegate count that she'll walk away with after Tuesday? Well, my expectation is that when you look at the totality of candidates on the playing field, she'll be, in the top tier when it comes to delegate count.
What about winning any states?
Well, no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you had to choose between, winning one state here, one state there, versus crushing it when it comes to delegates, you would much rather have delegates. I saw that Amy Klobuchar is going to North Dakota. I wish her well there. But if she, leaves Super Tuesday with a couple delegates from North Dakota, that would not be as desirable as Elizabeth Warren crushing it when it comes to delegates in Colorado, Texas, California. So that's a long-term path to her victory, really entering the top tier or continuing in the top tier after Super Tuesday as some other candidates fall by the wayside.
So I know Elizabeth Warren has said that she wants to go into the convention with the delegates that she has earned. And there's also a story out from the New York Times talking about superdelegates trying to stop Senator Sanders. And it says, since Mr. Sanders' victory in Nevada's caucuses on Saturday, the Times has interviewed 93 party officials, all of them superdelegates who could have a say on the nominee at the convention, and found overwhelming opposition to handing the Vermont senator the nomination if he arrived with the most delegates, but fell short of a majority. Adam, do you think that's fair?
Honestly, I was in South Carolina this morning talking to somebody who is a voter who is just starting to pay attention. What was reported in the New York Times is just not on the minds of voters. What Elizabeth Warren supporters are focused on is actually getting delegates, not focused on, math in 6 months.
But do you think it's fair?
Which part?
The idea that the superdelegates would not vote for Sanders if he, or not cast their ballots for Sanders if he walked in without a majority.
Understood. Yeah. So look, Elizabeth Warren is not focused on this. It does seem like Bernie Sanders is a little bit focused on this. And in the NBC debate in Vegas, the one thing he said was that he doesn't think superdelegates should be deciding this. But that's after he tried to organize the superdelegates in 2016 to his advantage. But it's also, what he didn't say was that he has any objection to the elected delegates finding majority support if nobody has a majority entering the convention. Why did he not object to that? Because that's what conventions are, and that's what the democratic process is. It would actually be anti-democratic to dismiss the duly elected delegates. So honestly, I think that all the hubbub about superdelegates is beside the point. I think we should focus on amassing delegates and then letting the convention work its will.